Everybody told us that this was part of the plan and not to be fooled. But many people didn't listen until right now. And before you rack your brain and try to figure out what I'm talking about, I am referring to the CDC officially adding COVID vaccines to the routine immunization schedule for children and adults. But we will talk about more on that in just a moment. There is a lot more news that just came out that is extremely important that we need to get to today. For example, that Chinese balloon, that was capable of spying on communications for us here in the United States. Again, this is a major problem. This so-called civilian balloon also suspiciously stalled over a military facility that houses nuclear missiles. How suspicious is that? And people familiar with these findings are also saying that this balloon had parts with English writing on it. Again, it's not very common, but again, more on that in just a moment. But let's get to some good news because frankly, we could use a little bit of good news. Today we learned that Democrats and Republicans are looking into wasteful spending in the Medicare Advantage plans. Again, this is good news because we could use this money, these funds from this so-called wasteful spending. We could use this for Medicaid, for the Medicare Trust Fund. We could also use this for Social Security. So again, good news because House Speaker Kevin McCarthy says he will eliminate waste wherever it is. It doesn't matter. And currently, this plan has bipartisan support. So that is good news. Now, let's address what's going on here though. Because according to recent reports, the biggest fix that we could have done would be to address the risk-adjusted payment schedule when it comes to the Medicare Advantage plans. Lawmakers are currently saying that many Medicare Advantage plans, or the plan actors, right, the companies, they mark their patient as a lot sicker than they actually are. And the reason they do this is because it will increase their revenue. So this is something that we have never looked into or really looked into, but now Republicans are saying this is where a lot of waste is going and we need to address this. So reports also indicate that Republicans and Democrats have their eye on the Medicare Advantage plans moving forward, and they will address this, which is probably a good thing, especially when the CMS, or the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, say they are going to raise Medicare Advantage rates by 1% in 2024. They've already decided 1%, but at the same time, they're going to make adjustments to the quality of care. According to experts, this will likely result in less care for the American people. Again, that's a major problem. But as soon as we get more information on that, I promise I will fill you in on that update as soon as possible. But let's talk about the big story. And the reason I say this is a big story is because most people never realized that this was the plan all along. And now we're starting to see all the experts that were saying, be careful, don't be fooled, this is coming. Well, we heard it today. The CDC has listed the COVID vaccine as one of the routine inoculations for children and adults. Then this 2023 list, it now includes flu, measles, mumps, and rubella, polio, and of course, the COVID vaccine. Now, I do want to be very clear on one thing. The CDC does not have legal authority to mandate vaccines to anybody in the United States, but now that they are recommending it and putting it on the routine inoculations list for both children and adults, it will be up to the states and local jurisdictions whether they decide to make this a mandate or not. So, just be aware of that. This is what many people were saying. This was the plan all along, and guess what? It looks like this was the plan. So, according to experts, they say we have been warning you, but be ready because it is coming. Now, I do want to address that Chinese balloon. Why do I want to address that Chinese balloon? Well, Here's a report from Bloomberg just today. It says the Chinese balloon that traversed the U.S. was capable of collecting communication signals and was part of a military-led spy program that spanned more than 40 countries, a Biden administration official said. 40 countries. Okay, 40. Now, I do want to be very clear on something. This is not the first time this has happened. We are just the first ones to get our hands on the balloon, which China says they want that back. That is not property of the United States. That is property of the People's Republic of China, and they need it back. Now, reports are also indicating that the balloon had an array of surveillance equipment, and that equipment could collect and geolocate communications, and a solar array which would give this enough power to operate multiple collection sensors. This was not a so-called civilian balloon. This was a spy balloon, a surveillance balloon. And now the United States, they're going to pick this apart. They will figure out what data this collected. They will try to figure out what they are going to do next. But again, according to China, they need it back. They do not want the United States picking this apart and seeing what it was doing. And according to the Deputy Secretary of State, she says this irresponsible act put on full display what we've long recognized as the PRC has become more repressive at home and more aggressive abroad. This is what we're seeing. And the problem with this is the United States and China, the tensions between the two countries were high. It was escalating for some time. Ever since President Biden became president, the tensions between China have been extremely high. And this only makes things worse. So now we have an issue with China because whatever we're doing in Taiwan. We have an issue with China because of the sanctions we put on Russia. We have an issue with China, well, for things in the past as well. And then we also have an issue now with China because we took their balloon. We took their balloon. They want to go and play, but, well, we shot it down. Their balloon is not going to be flying anytime soon. And chances are the United States will never give them this balloon back. So, what I can tell you is the news coming out lately is more shocking and devastating than anything. Now that we know that we have fallen victim to the plans that experts have put in place for us over the past years, guess what? You think Bill Gates is going to stop now? You think he's going to stop investing into some of these, the next pandemic, which again is supposed to happen in 2025? No. You think these news stories are going to stop? No. So again, I will be here every step of the way. I will fill you in on what is going on, but just understand, it is official. Things are changing.